What's cracking, mi gente? You guys already know this, your boy Swag, coming to you guys one more time, ready to give you some love and a little bit of knowledge. Today, I'm gonna be speaking about an incident that I witnessed that almost got me caught up and sent to the back due to me always playing soccer in the field when I used to be in prison. I got a little distracted. The incident took place and I didn't see the stuff start flying and it landed close to me, but I'm gonna give you guys the details of how it went down. It was a serious, very serious business down there, and it got real ugly, man. So you guys stay tuned. But before we get to the story, don't forget to subscribe, hit a like, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you want to hear next, and we can get to it, man. I always try to answer the comments. Bear with me, and let's get it going. So I was in Centinela State Prison, and a couple doors down, I was in cell 31. Marceli was one of my raw dogs. Um, and we always used to play soccer. That was our thing. We used to go out there every day, morning, afternoon yard, whatever yard it was. We would go out there, do a couple laps, and then stretch our body. Then start choosing our teams. We used to pick teams. We would play. And then after everybody would go in, because over there in the 270s, they do what they call in basically they open the doors for you to go and take a shower. So in the morning they would do an in call, basically like in and out at 11 something or at 10 something, and you can go in and take a shower. So you don't want a bird bath, and sometimes you take turns with your celly, you feel me? So if your celly goes in there, the next time you can go in there and take a shower. And in the afternoon, they used to be two unlocks. They call unlocks. So in the afternoon, they used to do one like around 1:30, and they used to do another one around 3. But you can only get in at 1:30 and take a shower. If you go do the unlock at 3, go straight to your cell. You have to bird bath. But that will give you still a little chance, because at 4, when they close the yard, 4:15, something like that, your cell is already coming through. You have to be done with your routine, basically taking a shower, bird bathing, do what you have to do. And as a courtesy, a lot of us did, we will fill up the sink for the homie your celly to bird bath so they can come ready and do what they have to do. Me and my celly have a program down in the mornings. Since we wouldn't have no more program during the day, we would never go in. In the afternoon, sometimes we would stay out there until like 3 something to the second unlock, and then he would go in, take a quick shower, because we had, after everything that we had counts and then we had chow. We were in one block, so we were the first ones to always go to chow. So that day, there was a couple cells down. I had met the homie Trooper from Ontario Black Angels. He was in a cell with an OG from Verdugo. And this dude was one of the quietest individuals you could meet. He never joked around. He was always very serious. He used to work behind the wall, doing boxer and stuff like that. And I always used to try to get him to smile, because he would hear me talking shit to the homies, because that was my thing. I used to always be talking shit when we walked through chow, and since RT lit out at the same time, the whole B section, he would always be smiling. And every time he would sit down with us to eat chow, we always used to try to make him crack a joke with us. But he would just laugh our shit talking that we had going on, but he never got involved. And his routine was pretty much, he would go to work in the morning, he would come back, he would do a little workout, and then he would go back in the cell. He was pretty quiet. The most quiet individual you could ever meet. Respectful as hell. Always said when I started on los días. Always was a firme ass homie. But I noticed something about him. And I always have done told, you gotta watch out for those quiet ones. Those quiet ones is the most dangerous ones, especially in prison, because they don't have to barking, they just bite. So, you know, within a couple of weeks or months of us being there, we got situated, and he will always walk with us, because he will always trying to get a laugh. You know, me and my homeboy and my raw dog and a couple others will always be talking shit to each other, either about football, about catting each other off, about the soccer. Whatever we have, we always would just crack a joke and make fun of each other, just to try to laugh. You gotta have a laughing point in prison, because if not, you go crazy. So that day, I heard to the grapevine, that something was gonna take place in the yard, that we needed to stay away from this individual. And the reason why we kind of knew was, like I said, you could tell when something's gonna go down. People's either staying away from that individual, or they're staying away from a little area, or there's always that little tension. But we have already heard, because I seen the yard crew coming in to our building to pull out two big straps. And when you alive for sometimes they ask you the whole thing, so they can collect the one from my cell to take out. And I heard the name that they were trying to give it to, so I got surprised because we all heard that that individual needed to go due to him telling on some big homies back there and steal it from some señores. The dude was Popeyes from Ontario. He had pegada coming, and I guess the señor that he had done that dirtiness told on him, and I guess he had dropped the kite on him in the back and stole some money on top of that, was from Ontario. So we already knew Black Angels dudes don't play. Ontario people don't play when it comes to the Black Angels. That's like a whole separate crew. Ontario is a gang, but the dudes that claim Black Angels, then dudes actually win the BAs, the Black Angels. Like they actually get down. They do a lot of work to either even get involved in that clique as Black Angels. At least that's what I was told. So for me to hear this individual's name that he was gonna go on a pegada, it caught me by surprise because, like I said, he was the quietest one. And the individual that we're trying to remove, I had noticed that day in the yard and a couple of days prior, he had only trying to shake a couple homies' hands, but the homies had shook the hand and then it spin off. Like they weren't trying to be with him. So he had always walked the yard by himself doing laps. And every time he would go to an area to work out, like the homies would move. So that kind of gave it away. So the dude crying me, the homie Thumper crying me, was Danny. He was from Ontario as well, but I guess he had some cleanup to do because he was trying to, like, I guess when he had got there, for some reason he had trying to run Christian. So there was something going on with him that he needed to prove to the Ontario homies that he was down for him. And then I guess he was trying to get into the Black Angels crew because I guess that was a clique that they belonged to Ontario. So I'm not well informed with that, but that's what I was told. So that day we were playing soccer. We had a game and we had chose basically 2 black and 1 black. We have split the groups, and then 3 black because over there in Santanella there's a fence. There's a gated fence. And people that go work behind the wall, they have to go through that fence. And when you coming out, the Huda you gotta give the police your ID so you can go there, or you just tell them what block you're coming through. So Danny actually was in 5 block. He wasn't even on our side of the yard. So he needed to get through the fence in order for him to go handle that business. And usually when they do work change, that's well as doing shift change. Within that little commotion, that's the best times, especially in Santanella, when shit used to go down because the Hudas are leaving. They're not trying to stop to get done more paperwork. Some police doesn't have their cans on them. Some no, they don't have their baton. They're just going with their backpack going home. So 9 times out of 10, when something was going to go down, it was going to go down shift change. So as it happened, we're playing soccer. We're having fun. And I noticed the homie Stomper walking towards that individual. And I noticed Danny walking the other way. And the reason why I knew Danny was because he was mixed, Salvadorian and Mexican. But he always used to play soccer on the other side with the homeboys. So every time we used to call the homeboys out, like we're going to try to get a match going from like the other buildings to come cross over here, because on our side of the fence, the soccer field was a little better than the other side. It had a lot of holes on it. Our side was just dirt. So as we noticed, my perrito, my road dog, Scrappy, pulled me to the side. He's like, hey, fool, ponte trucha. So I was like, why? He's like, hey, fool, you seen Thumper pick that thing up? So I noticed that he was picking something up, that they're handling something, and it looked vicious. So I was just like, hey, fool, let's just keep playing soccer. We didn't see nothing. We just keep going because I noticed, and this is something that I always notice, when the yard goes down or when something's always pop off, the homies always stop what they're doing. The yard gets quiet. Everybody looks towards where the incident's taking place. And that's how most times the Hudas catch on to what's going on, because if they were to just continue doing what they be doing, the police would never notice. And sometimes I used to tell homies like that shit don't make no sense, homie. Like if you want something not to get caught or the homie not to go down, like you guys gotta keep doing what you're doing. So we were playing on our side. The incident took place between two blocks, right between the door. And the second goalie where we were playing against that one, our goalie was this way, the opposite team goalie was that way. So we had to run that way to score, and that was like literally between two blocks, and there used to be a table there where they homies used to be playing cards and stuff like that. Dude was walking without his shirt off. He had a little size on him. Both Stomper and Danny, they were little skinny dudes. Man, all I seen was Stomper was going towards midden, and I was running towards that way. And I kicked the ball, like throwing like a long pass curve, and I stopped because all I seen was just Stomper just took out his piece and just hit him. The first one he kind of right on the neck. Dude like stumbled a little, and then Danny came from behind and poked him on the side, and then he started going at it. They dropped him. Everybody in the yard got quiet. Me and the homie looked at each other. I'm like, hey, fool, keep make noises. And I say this because at that time I was still pushing. I was still pretty good with them within the fraction and everything. So I was trying to make noises so the individuals that were doing their thing, even though now I understand that it was wrong back then, but that was a part of the life that I was living at that time. So me and the homie started yelling at each other, hey, pégale la pelota, pass the ball. And all I kept seeing was Stomper threw the fierro up in the air, grabbed it, and just went down and started hacking at the old boy. He was hacking at him. I mean, he was going crazy. And Danny Boy was just poking him right in the face, on the neck, on the side by the lungs. The Hura that actually saw what was taking place was the one that was coming out of 3 block. He was coming out of 3 block shift change, and he knocked on the door and yelled at the third or the tower on 3 block to tell him to hit the alarm. And then the big tower by that time saw and called yard down. And then the 2 block tower came out and started shooting, started telling him to get down. He let off 2 rounds with the big Bertha. Then the staff that was actually passing by, there was 2 police officers, there was 2 COs that actually came out of 1 block, and they looked towards where the incident was taking place, and you could actually see them. They looked at the incident taking place, and they just kept walking out. They didn't try to call it in. They didn't have no radio to call it in, but when the gate opened, they could actually tell the dude a heads up, the other police officers, to stop the attack. They didn't. And this is a common practice that the police officer, the CDC officers do. Like if they're going home, they're not trying to stop to do no paperwork, and that's why a lot of people always does those things during shift change, because if they can pass right by you, or they can pass a little bit, they can see the incident taking place, and they wouldn't trying to go back. Because one, they say it's for their safety, because they don't have no pepper sprayer with them, and they don't have the baton, and they don't have no radio, but they can knock on the door and actually call the attention like the 3 block officer does. But here's where the part that I almost got caught up with. Dude, when they start shooting and taking the thing, and then they start spraying, I was still by the opposite goalie because we were still getting the soccer. I just took off another run to try to play soccer because they had kicked the ball and it landed close to me. They had gave me the pass, so I was running. All I seen was just a piece. All I saw was something flying towards the soccer court. It hit me right on my leg and it landed right next to me. We're talking about a 9-inch piece with a point. It was like those writing tape machines that we had, and the rods are pretty big, man. The writing table machines are pretty big. They're about that big. It's just the piece that you use to move that back. We cut that and usually cut it in half to make 2 pieces, but that was the one that we had gave it away, and the piece was pointy. I mean, that thing was deadly, man. And the handle that he had made was, it didn't care. So the piece was about 9.5 inches. He probably had made like a 3-inch handle with a little sheet. And once it landed on my feet, it slid down. But when it hit me, it had some blood left on my leg. So what I did when I saw the police running towards the incident, I just threw with my feet. I threw a gang of sand to it and trying to stump it in to go do. And then I was like, I'm not gonna try to get caught. So I ran back to the other soccer goalie port and I laid down over there because I know eventually, usually when they do that and they can find the other piece, the people that surround that area, they all get strip searched, they all get point down. And sometimes you might even get caught up. And if you're sleeping, you couldn't do what you're supposed to do. And if you have some dope, or if you have any guy or you whatever, because sometimes when you go out to the yard, that's where all the transactions took place. So I run the other way and I lay down with my homeboy. And that's when my homeboy was like, hey, fool, you got something on your leg. And I looked down and I have blood. So I had a water bottle right there that we used to keep. So I just grabbed my hand and I just made it off. I didn't want to get caught. But see, one of the officers pointed towards the soccer field and said, grab those three that were right there. So they came. And since I smashed the water quick, some of my socks, my white socks, have looked like a little reddish. So when they came and started stripping down, the dude that came and stripped us down was the IGI. And they were acting like asses because they couldn't find the other piece. They couldn't find the other piece. And by that time they were still doing the search, the nurse was trying to pump the life into this dude. But you could tell he was spread out. Like literally he was gone. He was more on there. He would have passed away in the yard, literally. But they were trying to keep him alive. I guess they're trying to find the pulse. And when the dude saw that my socks had a little reddish on it, he's like, what the F is this? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm playing soccer. Probably I scraped myself. Well, I don't know. It's dirt in here. What the hell? So he's like, oh, yeah, probably. So you scrape yourself. And because I had rubbed my leg a little bit hard, it looked like I had scratched myself a little bit. So that kind of saved me. But I almost got caught up in that incident without me having nothing to do. The point of this story is, guys, I had never seen that guy Stomper ever been violent, ever curse. He didn't even curse. Like when he used to talk to you, he used to be like, what's up, homie? Buenos dias. Respectful as hell. To see him do that to that guy in less than 2 minutes, it blew my mind. And that's when I realized and I started learning in prison, you have to be careful because sometimes the most quiet can be the most dangerous one. That dude was literally hacking this dude right in the face. Later on down the road, we heard that the dude was in a life support, that they had punctured his heart and lungs. They had him on a breathable machine because he couldn't basically breathe on his own, but he was dead. He was a vegetable. And they got charged. Danny, I guess, got his thing back. Stomper was a black angel, so he got his wins. And I mean, the Ontario dudes, them senores don't play, man. All I could tell you, them senores don't play. And the dude name was Popeye. He passed away. The family unplugged him because there's nothing they could do. The point and the moral of the story is that sometimes CDC officers see things go down and they can stop it or they could try to intervene so the person doesn't get killed. Sometimes they choose to ignore that. And we have been seeing this common practice a lot more now that people have been exposing it. But I just wanted to bring out to that I almost got caught up in a case that didn't have nothing to do with me because I love to play soccer. And when they went and gave me the paper, the write-up, because I was interviewed and then I showed it to the homies, they were them fools like, for you almost got, he's like, one of the dudes came to my door, he's like, hey homie, muchas gracias. And I was like, for what? He's like, there's a couple homies that said that you threw a gang of, because they couldn't find the other piece. The only reason they found the other piece was because the pile of dirt was a little noticeable, and one of the IGI dudes took out like a metal one, and he was just wandering there and it started going off, and that's why they found it. But the other one, Danny had threw it on top of the roof, like to 2 block, and the officer had seen that, and they had went and got it. The crazy part is that it took them they had us out there for, it took place like around shift change, that's around 2 o'clock. They had us out there to almost like 3:30 trying to figure out where that piece was at. And they were really searching they strip search a few of us. And the crazy part is, like, I think the dude could have survived, or could have had a chance to survive it if the individual that saw the attack first going down coming out of one block had told either the tower or the other dude, but it didn't. I mean, I did what at that time thought was right and cover up the dirt, which now I realize is something that I believe in the system. I believe in what I was doing was right, and I believe that him telling was something that was punishable by death. Which now I don't wish that on nobody, because at the end of the day, he was a brother, he was an uncle, he was a son, and somebody mourned him. And I don't think nobody deserves to die, because these individuals take all the power, all the money, and they get greedy. And sometimes the money's not even missing; they just miscounting. But they're quick to say, you know what, he stole from me, kill him. And I mean, the black and white was like, yeah, he gave a statement to IGI when he was back there when they hit his pad, but that still didn't get the other dude caught up on the point that he was already back there in a shoe. So that goes to say, man, that these individuals don't care what you do. You can serve for them, you can work for them, you can benefit, you can make so much money for them. But at the end of the day, if they want you gone, man, they will get you gone, man. And understand this, kids. Game banging, and if you're glorifying that type of lifestyle, that can happen to anybody. I don't care if you're the hardest core gang member in there. When people decide to take your life and take your wings, like they've been doing in the past this year, especially this year, there's been so violent, they can be done, man. With that being said, man, let's love each other. Let's remember, man. Let's be kind to one another. Let's get it.